I just paid $2.5 million for this piece of land. I have plans to develop the property, and the city just sent me a list of improvements that they're going to require me to make when developing this property. And one of those items is so expensive that it could send this entire deal into a tailspin. In today's video, I'm going to give you an overview of the property. We're also going to talk about what we had planned with the property. And then last but not least, we're going to get into the major potential issue that we are now facing. So let's get into it. This piece of land is a 12-acre property, and right now I'm pretty much standing directly in the middle of it, and it goes down the hill all the way to the main road down there, and it also comes up behind me here quite a ways as well. As you can see, both sides of our property have been developed. So this neighborhood right here was probably developed, I don't know, 10 years or so ago. And then also over to my right, this hillside has also been developed. Now that was probably 10 or 15 years ago. So our piece of property is literally sandwiched directly in between two neighborhoods that have been developed previously. So what the city is requiring us to do for this specific parcel is absolutely insane. So this 12 acres is split up into 3 separate parcels, and we bought all 3 parcels, of course. But we have a small house down in the bottom right-hand corner. It's on 1 acre. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath, little, probably 1,200 square foot house. Then we have in the bottom left-hand corner, we have 3-bed, 2-bath, 3,000 square foot house. It's actually on 7 acres, and that's the parcel that we're standing on right now. It runs all the way up the hillside, and then up the hill even further, there's another house up there, and that is, I think it's like a 2,500 square foot house, 3-bed, 2-bath, and that's on 4 acres. So we got a total of 12 acres here, consisting of 3 separate parcels and also 3 separate houses. So since there is 3 separate houses on 3 separate parcels, we were actually able to get traditional bank financing on each property, which was great, which also allows us, right now we're working on getting the properties livable so we can at least get some rental income coming in the meantime from each house. Now that will not cover the mortgage payments. It'll at least help with the monthly expenses, having some sort of rental income from each individual property. That's a big help, where if this was just straight land and no dwellings on it, 1, wouldn't have been able to get traditional bank financing on it, and 2, there's 0 income coming in for the property, whereas here we at least have something that helps out each month. So the way this property is zoned is actually kind of interesting. There's actually 3 different zonings that take place throughout this property. Some of the parcels have 3 different zonings on a single parcel, which, I don't know, I found that to be kind of odd. For example, down by the main street down there is zoned mixed use commercial. So we have 3 acres up front zoned mixed use commercial, and that's where you could build a building that has retail on the main floor and then say 2 to 3 floors of apartments up top. Now where I'm standing here, kind of in the middle section of the property, this is actually a high density residential zone, which means we could do something like townhomes, you know, kind of tall and skinny townhomes in clusters of 2 or 4, or we could even do apartments here as well, and we could put up 3 or 4 stories of apartment buildings on this middle section. Now up top, at the top of the hill that will go here shortly, that's actually a lower density single family zoning, which means those are for single family homes, much like you see behind me here, this style of home, not style, but concept, where it's single family standalone houses on, call it a 5,000 to 7,000 square foot lot. So this is a shot of the house on the lower right hand corner of the property. This is the smallest one on the property, and I think this is probably the original homestead that owned all of this land all the way up the hill, because it's the oldest. I think it was built in the 1920s or so, and right now we currently have a renter in there, so it is bringing in a little bit of rental income for us, so that is a positive. This house here is on the lower left hand portion of the property, and right now it is vacant, but we're getting ready to get a crew in here and just kind of freshen up the inside. It's not in that terrible shape inside. It just looks like, I mean, basically grandma's house. It needs some fresh carpet and paint, and then we can get this thing rented and get some more rental income coming in. We do need to be careful of just overspending. So like this, you can clearly see it needs a roof, but we want to be careful on overspending here, because at the end of the day, these places are eventually going to be torn down. So now I'm gonna head to the top of the hill here and actually to the very far end of the property, because that is where the third and final house is located. And it's also where the city wants us to make an improvement to the land that is so costly that it could kill this entire deal. All right, up the hill we go. Here's a street just butting up to the side of our property here. And here we are. So now we're up the third and final house for the 3 different properties. This thing was built in the 90s. It's a little rough around the edges right now, but our original plan for this place was to develop all the lower acreage and actually keep this house here, do a full renovation on it, and sell it off on the open market. Once we clear out some of these trees, it'll have amazing valley views, and obviously once it's fully updated, you could get a really pretty penny for this house. But right now, due to what we just found out, our entire strategy is at risk. Right here in this ravine is where lies the main issue. So the city has this grand plan that they actually want to put a main road through the middle of my development. And that would require a bridge that goes from one side to the other of this ravine. And they're basically holding us hostage, saying, hey, in order for us to approve any sort of development on that site, it's gonna require us to foot the bill for this bridge and to put in the rest of the street as well. But the main portion, the main cost associated would be this bridge. Now, this ravine might not look like a lot on camera, but it's over 120 feet across and it's probably 25 feet to the bottom. Now, I haven't gotten any hard bids on this, but I'm just doing some rough estimates. This could be up to a $2 million bridge that's our responsibility to have to put in. This was obviously very shocking news to receive. Now, when we first bought this deal, or all 3 of these deals, we figured that this was absolute no-brainer. We were gonna kill it on this deal. Now, with what has unfolded since then, it's not looking so good. We are still working with the city on this. We're going back and forth trying to come to some sort of resolution on what can be done here, because putting in a bridge for a main arterial road simply just does not work. There's no way to make this deal pencil. So we're going back and forth with the city, see if we can come to some sort of a resolution and keep the development project moving forward. And then we have to go to plan B, which I don't really know what that is at this time. So we're kind of at the mercy of the city. We're going back and forth and negotiating with them and seeing what we can do. There's a lot of things to watch out for as a developer and as you develop land, one of which is ravines, different habitat areas, or wetlands. All those things can put a huge wrench in your development plans. And obviously now, learning from experience, we should be doing multiple meetings with the city to check on their master plan for the specific property that you intend to develop so that you're not, as the developer, stuck footing the bill. Unfortunately, I think we're in for a bit of a long, hard road with this deal. Next steps for us are go back to the city and see if there's something else that can be done here, negotiate with them, see if there's some middle ground that can be met or some sort of a resolution that takes place where the deal still pencils for us and we can continue to push forward with our development plans. So I'll be posting updates to the channel. So if you're interested in seeing how the story unfolds, make sure you subscribe. All right, we'll see you next time.